spelled P-A-T, Borman is B-O-A-R-M-A-N.
Cool, and your position here with Involved Engineering?
I work as a technical lead, and I am a partner here at Envolve Engineering.
Really nice. So, we are out here today to talk about sort of your innovative work on school safety. Before we get into that, just sort of talk to me about what Involve Engineering sort of does as an engineering firm.
Okay, well, we are a product design group. We employ electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, designers, and typically we're designing consumer-facing products. A lot of times that involves the integration of electronics to something mechanical. If you think about washers, dryers, refrigerators, things like that that have electronics and mechanics in it, those are the sorts of things we do.
Absolutely, but you also sort of have an interest, we were speaking yesterday, an interest in sort of data analytics and sort of data mining, is that right?
That's true. In fact, we have diversified our group, and we have data monitoring systems today. And I have some of that stuff here with me, kind of shown behind me, but it allows us to see what's happening in industrial processes, such as oil wells or grain bins. It also lets us monitor temperature in like cold storage, and we have a lot of those out in the field today collecting data.
So now a big focus of you guys, one of these big projects, here we are with a bunch of different things, is sort of combining the two to help with this sort of recent rash of school shootings. Let's just start with where did this idea sort of come from in the beginning?
Okay, well, because we are involved in data monitoring and real-time push alerts on that data, we had a couple of individuals that came to meet with us on an idea, Mike Day and Mike Sanford, businessmen and inventors, and they had some ideas on how we can make school safer by doing some monitoring. And actually, some of the things I'm showing here is the results of some ideation that we put together. We took some sensors, we put it into some signs, exit signs, and we made these into smart exit signs. And the bottom line is what it allows us to do, if a threat happens, within seconds, we're able to detect the threat, know where it is with respect to the students, and we can tell every student throughout the building whether they should exit left, exit right, or shelter in place.
Absolutely. So, how do those sensors work, and how does this, technology sort of, how are you able to get that all in seconds,
Sure. Well, it is a networked system, so every one of the signs is part of the network, and it has sensors internal to it. So when a threat is detected, which we have some proprietary technology within the signs that actually detects that, it sends that information out various means. It sends it by the signs, it sends it through cellular push alerts. So every student actually will have a push alert to their smartphone that tells them where the threat is with respect to where they are in a building so they can exit.
So sort of my thought process right now is, how does it know it's a threat versus, if a cleaning janitor is walking down and his garbage falls and there's a bunch of loud noises? How can it detect the difference between the two?
Sure. Sounds to the human ear a lot of times are similar, but when you look on a very small scale, you look at the frequency and the amplitude of sounds, they're very distinct and different. The sound of a gunshot with its amplitude over 150 decibels and the frequency is very different than dropping a mop, dropping a book. So these things are different, and we can detect that electronically, and then we can sense and respond accordingly.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So tell us what else you guys are working on, not just the exit sign, right?
Okay, so we have other things that we're doing with security. In fact, this item here, this is a biometric smart safe, and what this is whether in a residential application or a commercial application, if you'd like to store something in here, your access to it is by thumbprint. Okay, it recognizes who you are, and you open it up. You take whatever you need out of it. But here's the thing, whenever this safe is opened, we have a push alert that goes to a distribution of individuals that need to know. For example, if this is located in the school, maybe in the principal's office or the resource officer, and he accesses his gun, that information is shared immediately to a distribution of people, okay? And that's important because we need to know if we have to secure what's in here, and we also need to know if those items come out.
Absolutely. So, so in the worst case scenario, guns could be stored there, and that's, sort of the thought.
Sure, it could be guns. It could be other items you might want to store in there in case of emergency. It could be radios, closed frequency radios. It could be tasers or other kinds of trauma equipment. But ultimately, it is up to the schools and, for that matter, office personnel what kind of stuff they like to store in a monitored safe like this. this.
Absolutely. Seems really neat. Is that all you guys are working on? I mean, we got a lot of other stuff in this room.
Well, we have a lot of things that we're leveraging because if you look in the back here, we have pieces of equipment that are used today. Like for example, we have monitoring that we do at Purdue University today, and we use some of this equipment to see that the cold storage is actually keeping its temperature that it's supposed to, because you can imagine the things are being studied over years. If something happens to your cold storage, you want to know that immediately. And so we share that information via push alert using some of this technology in the back. We have a PLC in the back left-hand corner there. On the right-hand side here, we have a beacon. Now this is a piece of equipment that we're currently using on beaches for two-way communication and also alerting to us what kind of tides we're dealing with. Okay, but this same kind of technology can be used in an outdoor arena area to help us manage threats. Okay, and it can point people into safe directions.
Cool. So my next question is, what sort of practical applications of this have you used so far? You guys are talking, you guys just at modern day, is that stuff along those lines?
So practical applications, obviously the safe is something that we can do today, and we're ready to go, and we're looking for applications for that. And of course this technology, it's leveraging things that we are currently doing today, which is mostly related to industrial processes that are being monitored. So it's the leverage of that technology that makes this a good fit for us.
Absolutely. So you haven't, really put those signs in any schools yet? Is that sort of...
We haven't. What we've done is we've shown these signs and we've created budgetary quotes for a lot of the school systems here locally, around the state, and even outside of the state. And the school systems have a process, and we're helping them to budget for the new technology.
Absolutely. Makes sense to me. Are we missing anything?
I don't think so.
I'm usually very thorough. What's the response been so far? You've met, I know you've been working with Jim. I work with Jim all the time as well. He sort of has introduced you to a bunch of different people, right?
Absolutely. Jim Toms has been a great supporter of this technology, and the response that we've been given from the school superintendents locally and around the state has been tremendous. They've wanted us to quickly take some of their floor plan information and give them budgetary quotes so they can plan for this. I think all of the schools want this information. The question is what is safety? What is the cost of safety? And it can be as low as $20 per student per year.
Wow, it's pretty low.
Yep.
I don't really have anything else. Anything else we missed?
You might, I don't know if you want to mention meeting with Governor Holcomb's staff, John Hammond, or the Teresa Meredith of the Indiana State Teachers Association.
We have met with some individuals around the state, and in particular we went to the governor's office and we met with Homeland Security, and we compared our system to some of the other systems that are in place that are recognized as some of the safest school systems in the country. And the feedback that I've been given by qualified individuals is that our system does everything that those systems accomplishes, but a little bit more.
Interesting. Interesting. So it really, sort of focuses a lot around these exit signs then, right?
It does, because these exit signs are located throughout the buildings. Okay, and if you can imagine, in every single classroom, you can have an exit sign. And normally this exit sign, it's just in an unpowered mode. Okay, so it kind of blends in with the environment. Okay, but if a threat occurs, suddenly this sign comes to life, and we flash a strobe to draw attention, but then the sign kicks on and off. Okay, and this is all done electronically, so that the kids, when they look up, they know exactly where they should go, whether they should exit or whether they should exit right, left, or shelter in place.
So what's shelter in place look like?
So shelter in place, and it's you can see right here we have exit, and this is our right arrow, our left arrow, and so the shelter in place, all of our arrows turn off, and we just say no exit.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So are you also working with law enforcement throughout this process?
It's been an engagement process, and we've talked with local sheriff, we've talked to chief of police, that they really like the system. Those conversations are ongoing, because ultimately, as we share this information about what's happening inside the school, not only are we sharing it with the students and the faculty, but we're also sharing it with law enforcement and first responders. So in the first 7 seconds, we are able to respond and everybody's on the same page with regard to the threat.
So how does it get? So does it send out like a 911 blast?
What it does is we have a back-end system. It's supported through our website, and we're able to set limits so that if information needs to be shared, it can be sent out via text alerts, and we also have apps. Okay, and I think most people are familiar with apps. For example, if when you get an alert on a news story, it might pop up on your cell phone and you look at it. It's the same sort of thing, but our app is going to be much more intrusive because it's a safety-related item. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be bold. It's gonna tell you where you are and what you need to do.
Absolutely. So it would go to the cops sort of in like a peer-to-peer type of thing then?
It does, and so we've talked to different authorities, and information is shared differently from group to group, but ultimately we have data, we have it on a dashboard, and we're able to share that information with whatever system they're using through an electronic handshake. So you can imagine even the police officer who pulls up first on scene, the last thing he's going to see before he gets out of his squad car is going to be a snapshot image of where the perpetrator is within a building before he himself enters that building.
But, safety for everybody in that situation.
It is. It's good for the officer as well.
Cool. I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You might want to show a picture of your app.